あんなほれほれほれ来空に姉貴風味
Hokkaido is the northernmost island of Japan. In its south, the town of Biratori is home to about 4,600 people. It is known for its branded Biratori Wagyu beef, as well as sprawling and rich natural vistas. It is also famous even within Hokkaido for its preservation of the Ainu culture. In August 2022, the town of Biratori's traditional Ainu ceremony, Cipsanke, was held for the 53rd time. Cipsanke is an Ainu word for the launching of a canoe. Prayers are offered for the safety of the vessel, which will carry people and goods as it is lowered into the river. The Ainu are the indigenous peoples of Hokkaido and surrounding areas. They have their own language and believe that spirits reside in all things, and have developed a unique culture, including prayer and dance, to honor their deities, the kamui. Many Ainu still live in Biratori, keeping their cultural heritage thriving. They are preserving and ensuring the Ainu culture endures, as well as their traditional ceremonies. This program will showcase the richness of the Ainu culture and focus on its essence. Mount Poroshiridake has been a revered and sacred site for the Ainu since ancient times. The Great Saru River flows through southern Hokkaido. At the time, there were many Khotan settlements along the river's path. Biratori is located midstream, and its name is said to come from the Ainu word Pira Uturu. In the Nibutani area of Biratori, 70 to 80% of residents are Ainu, working to keep their culture alive. Inside a chise, preparations are being made for the kamui nomi ceremony. Onkami Anna means to pray. The priest is Kimura Hidehiko, who teaches kamui nomi practices to the younger generations.
About Onkami Anna, I mentioned this at the Preservation Society already, but your hands should be moving to the left 3 times, and it generally shouldn't be a big movement, but just enough so that your middle finger stops at about the middle of your palm.
The Ainu people worship the kamui deities. Kamui nomi is an important ritual to show gratitude toward them, as is also conducted during Cipsanke. For the younger generation, it's a rare chance to learn the ceremony.
This is about all there is, as far as places where we can teach Ainu culture to everyone. We were mainly focused on how to pass on the Ainu traditions to the younger generation. And I think it's a good thing that we've kept this class going for years now.
A great contributor to the legacy of Ainu culture in Biratori was Kayano Shigeru. In 1994, he became the first member of the National Diet of Ainu Descent in order to secure the rights of his people. In 1997, he successfully passed a cultural promotion law prohibiting discrimination toward the Ainu people. It was the culmination of many years of work. Kayano was born in Nibutani in 1926. After graduating elementary school, he made a living as a charcoal maker and in lumber. He was 29 years old when he became active in preserving his culture. It all started when he learned researchers and collectors had been stealing Ainu artifacts used in daily life. He was concerned that the Ainu culture might be lost completely and began buying up the artifacts and garments in order to preserve them. His son, Kayano Shiro, recalls what life was like at the time.
With the money he earned from work, he would buy rice and miso soup, as well as a few main staples. But everything else he spent on buying up materials. Our storage space was full of Ainu artifacts.
In 1972, Kayano established the Nibutani Ainu Museum, which would later be named after him, to share the Ainu artifacts and garments that he had accumulated with the public. And in 1992, the Biratori Nibutani Ainu Cultural Museum opened its doors. The collection Kayano gathered over 50 years makes up most of their collections. This is kaparamip, a cotton garment made of white cloth, cut and sewn onto a thin garment with embroidery overlain. This one is called Attus. The inner bark of the cut leaf elm is used as thread to weave this garment. 1,112 items housed at the Kayano Shigeru Nibutani Ainu Museum and the Biratori Ainu Cultural Museum were designated as important tangible folk culture properties by Japan in 2002. Kayano also worked to preserve the Ainu language, which began from a meeting with a leading Japanese linguistic scholar, Kindaichi Kyosuke. Together, they interviewed many Ainu people to translate ancient manuscripts and maps, and visited many regions to build up a database. Yukara are stories translated from Ainu into Japanese by Kindaichi of heroes in Ainu folklore that had been passed on orally for generations. Kannari Matsu was responsible for writing the numerous Yukara stories in about 100 volumes in the English alphabet. Kindaichi then translated these volumes. Kayano helped them both throughout the process. In fact, Kayano even began collecting recordings of the Ainu folklore stories. Carrying on his father's legacy through the radio station he left behind, FM Pipaushi, Kayano Shiro shares their language as well as through an Ainu language newspaper.
It was his mission in life. Visiting the elderly, recording their voices, Then he released the recorded tapes as a 10-volume set called Kayano Shigeru's Ainu Folklore Collection, with an audio CD attached. It made it easier for everyone to hear and learn the Ainu language. I think the materials he left behind were extremely revolutionary.
An Ainu language class that was started in 1983 by Kayano Shigeru, called Nibutani Ainu Language School, is underway. Teaching this class is a member of the Biratori Board of Education, Sekine Kenji. Residents of the town who are not of Ainu descent are also taking the class.
I wanted to understand Ainu culture better. There is so much philosophy behind the words themselves. Expressions unique to the Ainu language. The language and the culture are very much part of the whole. And I was able to feel and experience that.
My goal is for more and more people to use and speak the language. It gets more and more interesting. I always try to think of ways to get people to think the Ainu language is cool or exciting.
New initiatives are underway to spread knowledge of the Ainu culture. This is Kayano Shigeru's grandson, Kayano Kimihiro. With the goal of creating a place to connect tourists and locals, he opened the guest house, Nibutani Yanto, in April 2018.
It's not just for tourists, but the Ainu of Nibutani. When people who are from here interact with people from other places, it makes them think about who they are as people. That's my main goal. I want people to realize that being Ainu is something that has great value.
Traditional Ainu practices are being passed down with care as part of the local heritage. This is Kaizawa Yukiko. Kaizawa is a leader in Nibutani Attus and has been weaving them for over 60 years. Passed down mainly in the Nibutani area of Biratori, these Nibutani Attus have been designated as an official traditional handicraft of Japan. They are water-resistant, breathable, and are all natural fibers. Kaizawa is now 81 years old. Japan has a high elderly population, and Nibutani is no exception.
I need to train a successor soon. Now, my oldest grandchild is very good. They're even good with tearing threads. They're really very good. I've had them weave 2 so far. I think I'll have them make a working piece soon.
Kaizawa continues to take on new challenges in her work.
I'll probably keep losing my strength, which can't be helped, but I want to keep making good products. I always want to try to do something new.
This embroidery is fashioned from unique Ainu patterns. Traditionally, men would work with wood and women would embroider. The maker wishes for the safety of the person who will wear it while embroidering the patterns. Sekine Maki is Kaizawa Yukiko's daughter. She is an artisan who proclaims that Ainu culture is the love of family. Sekine works with famous brands to bring the beauty of Ainu culture to more people, creating numerous products based on traditional designs and methods in new arrangements.
Collaborations are a great shortcut. The most important thing is for many people to see it. If you start with the dark history, they won't want to learn anymore. That's why I want people to learn about Ainu culture through its charms.
As with Nibutani Attus, the wood-carved Nibutani Ita are also an officially designated traditional handicraft. Creating these Nibutani Ita, as well as other artwork to express his own philosophy, is woodcarver Kaizawa Toru. He began woodworking after high school. At the time, he hadn't come to terms with his identity as Ainu and left Nibutani for other pursuits.
There was prejudice, and I didn't like being seen that way. I wanted to make my own way in the world as a woodcarver. I didn't think I had to carve traditional crafts just because of my heritage.
Later, he was called back by his family and reconnected with the work of his great-grandfather, Utorentoku, known as a master of Nibutani Ita.
Once I tried to carve it myself, I realized how difficult it was, and I thought, I want to learn that.
With this turning point, Kaizawa began to incorporate traditional Ainu methods in his woodcarving, expressing both his connection and conflict with his heritage and home in a modern format. Kaizawa's radical work, unbound by tradition, has been recognized by the art world. In 2018, one of his pieces, Keutum Kannasui, became the first Ainu item to become a permanent display at the Great British Museum. On this night, two of Kaizawa's proteges were honing their skills with their teacher. Nishiyama Ryo and Hiramura Daiki, both of whom have Ainu roots.
こういうのってあんまりやんない方がいいですかね。
どれ？
こういう。
いや、そんなことないよ。
大丈夫ですか。
結局アイヌ文様ってね、自然の中から生まれてるっていうか、つぼみ表現みたいなことだから。昔の人の方がね、ずっとね、自由なんだよ。今枠にはめられすぎてんだよ。ついついさ、左右対称とかさ、鱗の方向はこっちとかって。
昔の人の方が
自由自由。でもそれこそ先人の彫ったものの中にヒントがあるんだよ。不思議なの。
As Ainu, they both have a strong will to preserve their culture and identity with their ancestors.
The Ainu culture that I used to imagine was very different from what I've learned through my experiences here. I wish I could tell my younger self that it's not so bad at all. There was a time when I really didn't like being called Ainu. But actually practicing the culture has been nothing but positive. That's the way I think of it.
Working here, was one of the things that has made me become proud to be Ainu. I think it's put me on a good path.
Kaizawa reacted to hearing this.
We have young people from many regions come here, but having young people from our local region take an interest has been important. Facing their identity and carrying on Biratori's traditions is very important.
On the day of Cipsanke, the people who attended the ceremony watch over the kamui no mi within the chise. The two young woodcarvers also join in the sacred ritual. Apehuchi kamui plays an intermediary role in conveying the prayers and wishes of human beings to other kamui. Tonoto is also poured for the participants. The alcohol is first offered to the fire kamui and inau. Prayers are offered to the fire kamui, followed by the guardian deity of the household, the deity of ships, the deity of forests, the deity of water, the deity of Mount Poroshiridake, and others. Facing the Nusa altar, they declare their intent to enter the water to the kamui of water, trees, and others, and prayers are offered for the deities to give their protection until the end of the voyage. Outside of the chise, ancient Ainu dances are performed to express respect and gratitude toward the kamui. The canoes, which are the focus of Cipsanke, are lowered into the river. After the canoe meets the water, Tonoto is offered at the Nusa, erected on the Saru River. Cipsanke Wakkaoshi Kamui no Mi is conducted and prayers are offered for its safe passage. After the ceremony, the participants board the canoe. They travel 800 meters downstream. Once this journey is complete, a final ceremony of gratitude toward the kamui is held. One inau standing at the fireside is stoked with flame in gratitude for the safe river passage. The other inau is stored in the rafters of the chise as proof of the completion of the festival. Cipsanke is held to pass the tradition on to the hearts of the next generation by everyone who participated.
The Nibutani area is irreplaceable to the Ainu people. It's common for many of the younger generation to distance themselves from the Ainu for a time. Once they have children or reach a certain age, they reconnect with their identity as Ainu and return to the culture. We want this to be a place where those people can return to and welcome them as Ainu. It doesn't have to be only here. But if Ainu from anywhere in the country come here, we want this to be a place where they can feel at home and have peace of mind.
Exploring the lands of the Ainu. A people living in their ancestral lands, carrying on their rich heritage of living culture. The Ainu people and culture continue to endure and thrive, as each and every one of them build the future of Biratori. This program was made possible by the Upopoi National Ainu Museum and Park.